They asked for mercy, but Earth sent its Deathworlders. Rivers that had nourished the land for centuries ran shallow and sickly. Mountains crumbled under the weight of erosion, and the native Zelthari, a proud and intelligent species, struggled to survive. The Zelthari had once been a great civilization. They built cities that shimmered like crystal under the light of their twin suns. They had explored their system, sent emissaries to neighboring stars, and shared knowledge freely. But internal conflicts had torn their society apart. Factions fought over dwindling resources, and nature itself seemed to rebel against them. Crops failed, diseases spread, and hope began to fade. In their desperation, the Zelthari Council sent a delegation to Earth. They had chosen humanity because of rumors whispered across the galaxy. Humans were resilient, resourceful, and some said unpredictable. The delegation boarded their sleek ships, their forms elongated and delicate, their eyes wide with worry. They had never traveled beyond their cluster without guidance, and the journey to Earth was long, exhausting, and filled with fear. When they finally arrived in orbit around Earth, the delegation was awestruck. The blue and green planet shone like a jewel in the darkness of space. Cities glimmered with lights that seemed almost alive. Massive spacecraft hung in the upper atmosphere, some of them military vessels, others scientific. Humanity, they realized, was not only alive but thriving in ways the Zelthari had never imagined. A single vessel broke from the group and descended toward Earth's surface. The Zelthari emissaries were careful, almost timid. They were met by representatives of the Earth Council, a gathering of the brightest minds and leaders from every corner of the planet. Humans approached them openly, but there was a tension in the air, a silent question. Why are you here? The lead Zelthari, a tall figure named Kael'thar, bowed his slender head. His voice, translated through a device, was soft but urgent. People of Earth, our civilization faces extinction. Our world dies, and with it the lives of millions. We come to seek mercy, guidance, and aid. If you can help, we offer knowledge and resources in exchange. If you cannot, then we must face our end alone. The humans listened in silence. Some leaned forward, eyes narrowed. Some whispered to one another. The council had faced alien pleas before, but nothing like this. The Zelthari were not aggressive. They were pleading, desperate, fragile, yet the humans sensed something more beneath the surface. Kael'thar's voice, though calm, carried a quiet intensity. There was pride in his words, and the humans knew that desperation alone had brought them here. Dr. Alara Miles, one of Earth's leading xenobiologists, was the first to speak. Your plight is grave, but aid is not simple. Your planet suffers from deep ecological collapse and social strife. Our resources are limited, and Earth cannot risk becoming entangled in a failing system. How can we trust that your people will cooperate with any assistance we provide? Kael'thar's eyes glimmered with a mixture of fear and resolve. We understand your caution, but our knowledge of science and technology can help your people in return. We have secrets of energy production, bioengineering, and stellar travel. Help us, and we help you. A murmur ran through the council chamber. Humanity had always been wary of entangling itself in alien affairs. To offer aid was a risk. To refuse could feel cruel. The Zelthari's words were not empty. The humans could sense sincerity, even in the presence of fear. Finally, a decision was made, though not the one Kael'thar expected. The council would respond, but not with traditional aid or diplomacy. Instead, they would send a special group, the Deathworlders, Earth's elite operatives. These were humans trained to survive in environments that would kill most species within hours. They were fierce, disciplined, and unmatched in strategy and endurance. The Zelthari emissaries did not know the full extent of what awaited them. They assumed humans would arrive with medicine, engineers, or food supplies. They did not imagine what came next. Within days, massive human ships entered orbit around Vera. Unlike the sleek Zelthari vessels, these ships were built for resilience. Their hulls gleamed with layers of adaptive armor, capable of withstanding storms, impact, and radiation. As the ships descended, the Deathworlders prepared themselves. They were clad in exosuits that enhanced strength and reflexes. Their weapons, though not always lethal, were intimidating. They carried tools to reshape terrain, defend against predators, and survive environments most life forms could not endure. When they finally touched down on Vera, the Zelthari population gathered at the edges of their crumbling cities. Children stared with wide eyes, Elders whispered prayers, and leaders tried to maintain composure. The humans emerged from their ships slowly, deliberately, each step radiating confidence and strength. They did not bow, they did not smile, they observed. Kael'thar stepped forward, his voice shaking slightly. "People of Earth, we—" One of the humans, a commander named Jerk, raised a hand. He spoke calmly, with authority that silenced the Zelthari instantly. "We are not here to bargain, we are here to survive. If your world can survive with our help, it will. If it cannot, then you will learn the meaning of resilience." The Zelthari recoiled at the words. This was not mercy as they had imagined it. This was something else, something powerful, relentless, and utterly human. Jerk's team immediately began surveying the planet. Sensors scanned air quality, water, soil composition, and the movement of predators. They identified regions of extreme danger, collapsing mountains, poisoned rivers, and areas overrun with aggressive fauna. To the humans, these were challenges to overcome. To the Zelthari, these were death sentences. The first interaction between a human and a Zelthari occurred in the outskirts of a ruined city. Kael'thar approached cautiously, observing the humans as they prepared equipment. One of the Deathworlders, a woman named Sira, noticed him and did not flinch. She extended a small device, analyzing his biosigns silently without explanation. Kael'thar froze but did not retreat. He had been trained to negotiate, but not for this. After a tense moment, Sira spoke, her voice firm but not unkind. "You will need to adapt. Your planet will not wait." The Zelthari leaders exchanged glances. They had asked for mercy, for protection, for understanding. Instead, Earth had sent beings who expected them to endure, survive, and change. It was terrifying, and yet in some strange way inspiring. As the day passed, the Deathworlders moved quickly. They set up fortified bases, deployed surveillance drones, and began reshaping sections of the land. Poisoned rivers were filtered and diverted. Collapsing mountains were stabilized. Predatory animals were relocated or neutralized. Everywhere they went, humans moved with precision, efficiency, and absolute confidence. The Zelthari watched in awe. They had built cities of crystal and steel, but these humans reshaped entire landscapes with nothing more than determination, intellect, and tools. There was no hesitation, no fear of failure. The Deathworlders simply acted and the world began to respond. Kael'thar returned to his council, heart pounding. "We asked for mercy," he said quietly, "and they bring power and judgment." Another elder spoke, her voice trembling. "Can our people survive this? Will we be changed beyond recognition?" Kael'thar could not answer. He did not know. What he did know was that humanity was unlike anything the Zelthari had encountered. They were more than allies or saviors. They were forces of nature. By the time night fell on Vera, the humans had established their presence fully. Fires were controlled, water systems restored, and dangerous predators neutralized. The Zelthari slept uneasily, watching the humans patrol, always vigilant, always ready. For the first time in generations, there was hope on Vera, but it was hope tempered with fear. The Zelthari had survived countless wars, faced natural disasters, and endured their own mistakes. Yet none of those challenges compared to this. The humans were not here to comfort them. They were here to demand excellence, endurance, and adaptation. Kael'thar walked among his people, explaining what had occurred. Children peeked from behind doors, elders whispered prayers of gratitude and apprehension. The message was clear. If Vera was to survive, the Zelthari had to follow the humans' lead. And the humans made no promises of mercy beyond what they deemed necessary. On this dying world, only one truth held. Survival was earned, not given. As the stars twinkled above, Jerk surveyed the horizon. "They asked for mercy," he said quietly to his team. "They got Deathworlders instead." The Zelthari did not understand yet, but soon they would learn. Earth did not negotiate weakness. Earth did not plead. Earth survived, and it demanded the same from those it touched. And on Vera, the first steps of a transformation had begun. The first light of Vera's sun cast a pale glow across the scarred landscape. Rivers wound like silver snakes through blackened plains, and the air was thick with ash from the endless fires. In the distance, the jagged peaks of mountains cracked under their own weight, threatening to collapse into the valleys below. Yet in the midst of this devastation, life stirred in unexpected ways. The humans, the Deathworlders, moved with precision across the land. Each step they took was purposeful, every action calculated. Their exosuits gleamed in the pale sunlight, equipped with tools that allowed them to analyze, repair, and manipulate the environment. Drones hovered above, scanning for hazards, marking zones of danger, and mapping every inch of terrain. Kael'thar and his delegation followed cautiously. They had watched the humans work from a distance, but seeing them up close was overwhelming. The Deathworlders were unlike anything the Zelthari had imagined. They did not simply arrive to help, they arrived to dominate every challenge the planet presented. One of the humans, a commander named Sira, knelt beside a dry riverbed. Her gloved hands ran over the cracked soil. Sensors on her suit beeped, sending data back to the central command ship. She raised her arm, and a small device projected a holographic map of the area. Blue lines traced where water could flow, red dots marked zones of toxicity, and green areas highlighted safe zones for settlements. "This river can be restored," Sira said, her voice firm, "but it will require cooperation and effort from the locals." Kael'thar stepped forward. "We will help. Tell us what to do." Sira looked at him, her gaze sharp. "Follow instructions, move quickly, do not interfere with machinery unless instructed. Your people are fragile compared to the environment. Do not make mistakes." The Zelthari nodded, and for the first time they felt the weight of their own fragility. On Vera, the Deathworlders were the measure of strength. If they faltered, the planet would punish them. The humans worked tirelessly. Massive filtration units were deployed along the riverbanks, purifying water and redirecting it to parched fields. Toxic soil was treated with a combination of chemical neutralizers and engineered microbes designed to restore fertility. In the skies, drones released clouds of seeds and spores to accelerate regrowth. Trees that had been scorched by fire began to sprout new leaves almost immediately. The Zelthari watched in a mixture of awe and fear. They had never seen life return so quickly, so efficiently. The humans were transforming the planet, but not gently. Every action was precise, deliberate, and executed with absolute authority. It was not kindness. They were not simply helping. They were remaking Vera in their image of survival. Meanwhile, the more dangerous regions of the planet presented challenges that only the humans could handle. The jagged mountains were unstable, and rockslides threatened to bury entire villages. Sira's team deployed stabilizing devices that emitted vibrations, reinforcing the mountain's structure. Gigantic tethered drones hovered above, acting as anchors and preventing further collapse. Predatory fauna also posed threats. Massive creatures with jagged teeth and armored hides stalked the plains, preying on weakened Zelthari livestock. The Deathworlders did not simply kill them. They studied their behavior, predicted movements, and relocated the animals to safer zones, ensuring the ecosystem remained balanced. The Zelthari were astounded. Humans had the ability to kill with efficiency, yet they chose precision over destruction. Kael'thar gathered his council to discuss the human presence. "They are not like anyone we have faced," he said quietly. "They do not negotiate. They do not ask for permission. They act and the world responds." An elder named Mira spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "Do they even understand mercy? They are reshaping our land, controlling our lives, and yet the planet heals. It is terrifying and wonderful at the same time." Kael'thar nodded. "We must follow their guidance. Our survival depends on it." As days turned into weeks, the Zelthari began to participate more actively. At first, they moved slowly, afraid of making mistakes. But under the watchful eyes of the Deathworlders, they learned quickly. Tasks that once took months could now be completed in days. They learned to purify water, plant crops, and stabilize buildings. They learned to read the environment, anticipate dangers, and work as a unit with the humans. One evening, Sira called Kael'thar aside. "Your people are learning fast," she said, "but strength alone will not be enough. You must adapt mentally and physically. Your planet will test you, and you must be ready to endure." Kael'thar listened, realizing the truth in her words. The humans were not merely rescuers. They were teachers, challengers, and enforcers all at once. Vera would survive only if the Zelthari could rise to the standards set by Earth's Deathworlders. Tensions began to surface among the Zelthari. Some factions were uncomfortable with the humans' dominance. They whispered that their culture was being erased, that their traditions were ignored in favor of alien methods. Kael'thar confronted them. "Do you wish to survive or cling to pride while your world dies? The humans do not ask for permission, they act. We must learn or perish." The dissenters fell silent, but resentment lingered. They were proud people, and pride was difficult to surrender. Yet as natural disasters struck, floods in the lowlands, wildfires in the forests, and violent storms along the coast, the value of the humans' methods became undeniable. One morning, a massive storm tore across the eastern plains. Winds reached unimaginable speeds, tearing trees from the ground and hurling debris across villages. Zelthari citizens panicked, unable to flee in time. The Deathworlders responded immediately. Using high-speed aerial vehicles and reinforced exosuits, they rescued dozens, stabilizing roofs, clearing debris, and guiding people to safe zones. The Zelthari watched in disbelief. Their world had been ravaged, and yet the humans moved through it with calm precision, as though the chaos were nothing more than another challenge to overcome. Kael'thar approached Sira as she helped a group of children to safety. "How do you do it?" he asked. "How can you face such danger without fear?" Sira looked at him, her expression serious. "Fear is natural, but fear does not stop us. We adapt, we endure, we survive. On Vera, we are teaching your people the same lesson. Your world will demand strength, and we ensure you can meet it." By the end of the first month, Vera had begun to show signs of true recovery. Rivers flowed clean and strong, fields sprouted new crops, and previously dangerous areas became safer for habitation. The Zelthari had learned to operate machines, read environmental data, and anticipate disasters before they struck. They were becoming resilient in ways they had never imagined. However, not all lessons were easy. Some Zelthari failed tests set by the Deathworlders. Attempts to redirect rivers resulted in floods. Mismanagement of chemical neutralizers created pockets of toxic soil. When failures occurred, the humans did not punish. They corrected, instructed, and repeated the lesson. Yet the correction was firm, leaving no room for excuses. Kael'thar realized a difficult truth. The human's form of mercy was not gentle. It was demanding, relentless, and exacting. Survival was not a gift. It was earned through discipline, courage, and adaptability. As the sun set over Vera, casting long shadows across the recovering landscape, Kael'thar walked among his people. Children played cautiously in newly cleared fields. Elders inspected restored structures, and workers moved with purpose. The planet was healing, but it was a different Vera than before. It was stronger, harsher, and more alive. Kael'thar looked up at the humans standing on a ridge, surveying their work. "They did not come to save us," he said quietly to himself. "They came to teach us how to survive, and in doing so they changed everything." In the distance, Jerk and his team observed the planet, noting progress and preparing for the next stage. There were still challenges ahead. Deeper forests overrun by predators, unstable mountains yet to be reinforced, and pockets of human resistance among the Zelthari. But for now, Vera was alive. The Zelthari had learned their first lesson. Earth's Deathworlders were not gentle saviors. They were relentless, efficient, and unstoppable. To survive under their guidance was not only possible, it was transformative. And as night fell over Vera, Kael'thar finally allowed himself a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, his people could endure this new era. But the question lingered: could they endure the humans themselves? Because on Vera, survival was no longer about escaping danger. It was about matching Earth's Deathworlders in strength, resolve, and unbreakable will. Weeks passed on Vera, and the planet, once on the brink of collapse, began to show signs of life. Rivers ran clear, forests regained their color, and once-dying crops sprouted green against the blackened earth. The Zelthari, under the watchful eyes of Earth's Deathworlders, were learning to endure, to adapt, and to survive. But survival was never simple. Vera was a planet of extremes, and it tested the strength of every being that walked its lands. Predators still roamed the forests, some larger and more aggressive than before, their instincts sharpened by hunger and the chaos of a recovering ecosystem. Storms struck without warning, their violent winds and heavy rains threatening to undo the progress the humans and Zelthari had made. Even the mountains, though partially stabilized, groaned under their own weight, sending tremors through the valleys below. The Deathworlders, as always, moved with calm precision. They treated disasters not as tragedies, but as challenges to overcome. Commander Jerk led a team to the northern forests, where a massive predator known as the Garkath had claimed territory near a newly restored village. The Garkath was enormous, with armor-like scales and claws capable of cutting through stone. Its eyes glowed with intelligence and hunger. The Zelthari villagers were terrified. They had never seen a creature of such size and cunning. Kael'thar knelt beside them, trying to calm their fears. "Do not panic," he said. "Observe, learn. The humans will show us how to survive." Jerk's team approached the creature cautiously. Using specialized equipment, they mapped the predator's movement and behavior. Sira activated a field that emitted subtle vibrations, guiding the Garkath away from the village without harming it. Within hours, the creature had been relocated to a safer, uninhabited zone, and the humans had set up monitoring systems to ensure it did not return. The Zelthari watched in awe. "They do not fight recklessly," one elder whispered. "They do not kill without reason, they control danger itself." But not all lessons were so simple. Some of the Zelthari struggled to adapt. A group tasked with managing a water purification system failed to follow the protocols set by the Deathworlders. Chemicals were misapplied, contaminating a small stream that supplied a nearby village. Sira confronted them immediately. "Stop," she commanded, her voice carrying across the field. "You will correct this now. Follow the steps exactly." The Zelthari panicked, fumbling with the equipment. Jerk stepped forward, calm but firm. "Mistakes will cost lives," he said. "Your people are learning fast, but hesitation and error are not acceptable. Begin again. I will guide you." Under his direction, the Zelthari corrected the mistake. The stream returned to life within hours, the villagers' crops saved. The Zelthari were exhausted but enlightened. They began to understand that survival was not simple. It required focus, courage, and the discipline the humans demanded. Amid these trials, tensions among the Zelthari began to grow. Some factions resented the humans' dominance. They whispered that their culture and authority were being eroded. Kael'thar confronted them in private. "If we do not follow the humans' methods, our people will die," he said quietly. "We have faced disasters before, yet this is different. The humans do not make mistakes. They endure. If we hope to survive, we must endure as well." Some listened reluctantly. Others remained defiant, unwilling to surrender pride. Their resistance created friction within the recovering settlements, threatening progress. Meanwhile, natural disasters escalated. A massive storm system developed over the eastern plains, with winds surpassing anything the Zelthari had ever seen. Lightning struck repeatedly, igniting new fires in the forests. Floodwaters rose rapidly, endangering villages and farms. The humans acted immediately. Drones dispersed across the plains, assessing damage and identifying people in danger. Reinforced exosuits allowed the Deathworlders to wade through floodwaters, rescuing trapped Zelthari and animals alike. High-powered stabilizers reinforced structures at risk of collapse, while portable generators ensured that water and medical systems remained operational. Kael'thar watched as the humans moved with unmatched coordination. Each team knew their role, anticipating the next crisis before it occurred. They worked through fatigue, pain, and danger without hesitation. The Zelthari realized, with a mixture of fear and admiration, that the humans' endurance was nearly limitless. In the aftermath of the storm, the Zelthari held a council meeting. Kael'thar addressed the elders and leaders. "We have witnessed what the humans can endure," he said. "They have faced forces we would have fled from. We have seen their precision, their discipline, and their courage. Survival is not a gift. They earn it, and now we must earn it alongside them." Even the dissenters fell silent. The proof was undeniable. The humans were not only capable of surviving danger, they controlled it. The Zelthari could either adapt or perish. To reinforce their learning, the Deathworlders introduced additional challenges. The northern mountains were still unstable, and teams of Zelthari were tasked with reinforcing cliff faces and redirecting avalanches. The humans supervised closely, correcting errors immediately and demonstrating methods that the Zelthari quickly imitated. One young Zelthari, named Rin, struggled to keep pace. He faltered while handling a stabilizer device, nearly causing a small landslide. Sira intervened immediately, guiding his hands and showing him the correct technique. "Focus," she said. "Do not panic. Your mind and your hands must act as one. Survival requires control over both." Rin nodded, sweating but determined. By the end of the day, he had mastered the device. He looked at the mountains with pride, realizing that what once seemed impossible was now achievable. The humans did not celebrate their successes with fanfare. They moved on to the next challenge, leaving the Zelthari to reflect. This was a lesson in endurance and humility. Progress required continuous effort, and there was no room for complacency. During the next week, a small faction of Zelthari attempted to undermine the humans' authority. They sabotaged equipment in an effort to regain control over their people and assert independence. The sabotage was discovered quickly, and Jerk acted decisively. "You endanger your people with every act of defiance," he said. "Your pride cannot outweigh the lives of your citizens. You will repair the damage or face the consequences." The Zelthari involved had no choice. Under human supervision, they repaired the systems, learning firsthand the consequences of error and disobedience. By the end of the process, even the most stubborn among them began to understand that survival was not about dominance, but cooperation and discipline. Meanwhile, the Deathworlders continued to expand their operations. Forests were cleared of dangerous undergrowth, allowing crops to grow safely. Floodplains were reinforced with barriers and drainage systems. Villages once on the brink of destruction now stood resilient, equipped to withstand storms and predation. The Zelthari people began to change. Children trained alongside humans, learning techniques to survive storms, handle equipment, and respond quickly to danger. Adults became skilled in new methods of agriculture, water purification, and structural engineering. The planet itself seemed to respond, its ecosystems stabilizing faster than anyone had imagined. Kael'thar reflected on the transformation. "Our people are learning," he said quietly. "Not just to survive, but to endure in ways we never imagined. Yet the humans themselves remain beyond our comprehension. Their strength, their resolve, it is unlike anything we have ever faced." Jerk, observing the progress from a high ridge, turned to Sira. "They are learning faster than expected," he said. "They adapt well under pressure, but they must be tested further. Comfort breeds weakness. We cannot allow it." Sira nodded. "The next stage will be more difficult. They will face challenges that test not only skill, but courage and endurance. Only then will they truly understand survival on our terms." As the sun set over the recovering plains of Vera, the Zelthari looked upon their transformed world. It was still dangerous, still harsh, but it was alive, and it was their responsibility now to meet the standards set by the humans. Kael'thar walked through the village, watching children play among repaired structures, villagers tending to crops with newfound skill, and elders marveling at the rapid recovery. He understood the truth. The humans had not only saved Vera, they had remade it, and in doing so, remade its people. Yet the trial was far from over. Survival demanded vigilance, courage, and continuous effort. The humans had taught the Zelthari the first lessons, but more trials awaited. Natural disasters, internal conflicts, and the unpredictable dangers of the planet would continue to test them. And the humans would be there, watching, guiding, and challenging, ensuring that the Zelthari learned not just to survive, but to endure in a universe where weakness could no longer be tolerated. For the first time in generations, hope and fear existed side by side on Vera. The Zelthari had asked for mercy, and Earth had sent its Deathworlders instead. And under their watchful eyes, Vera would either rise stronger than ever or fall to the harsh lessons of survival. The following weeks on Vera were a test unlike any the Zelthari had faced before. With humans guiding them, the planet was healing, but the challenges intensified. Vera's unpredictable climate became more aggressive, testing both the skills the Zelthari had learned and their endurance. The humans, unfazed, treated every disaster as a challenge to conquer, and every day became a lesson in survival. A massive storm system developed over the southern plains, larger than any previously seen. Dark clouds swirled with violent intensity, and lightning tore the sky. Torrential rain fell, flooding riverbanks and washing away unstable soil. Villages were in immediate danger. Jerk and his team mobilized instantly. "Spread out," he ordered. "We stabilize the terrain, protect the people, and control the flooding. Move fast, every second counts." The Zelthari watched as the humans executed coordinated operations with military precision. Drones lifted debris, reinforced weak structures, and evacuated citizens. Portable barriers diverted floodwaters while advanced pumps carried excess water to safer areas. The humans moved as one unit, each understanding the other's role perfectly. Kael'thar led a group of Zelthari in assisting the Deathworlders. They worked tirelessly, but the storm revealed their weaknesses. Heavy rain soaked them, mud slowed their movements, and panic threatened to overtake some. "Focus," Sira shouted. "Control your fear, your people are counting on you." The words stung, but Kael'thar's people rose to the challenge. They stabilized buildings, carried children to safety, and repaired equipment under pressure. By the end of the storm, the southern plains had suffered less damage than expected, thanks to the combined effort of humans and Zelthari. That night, Kael'thar convened his council. Exhausted but alive, they discussed the storm's impact. "They are relentless," said Mira, her voice quiet. "No matter the danger, they do not falter, they endure, and they expect the same from us." Kael'thar nodded. "Survival is not granted, it is earned. The humans do not negotiate with weakness. We must be ready for the next trial." And the next trial came swiftly. Weeks later, a series of earthquakes rocked the northern mountains. Unstable cliffs threatened to collapse entirely, and entire villages were in jeopardy. The Deathworlders moved with rapid efficiency. Using vibration stabilizers, high-tensile anchors, and predictive sensors, they reinforced the mountain's structure. Zelthari volunteers followed instructions closely, learning to anticipate shifts in the terrain and to operate equipment designed for extreme conditions. One young Zelthari, Rin, now more confident from previous lessons, took the lead in monitoring a particularly unstable section. He worked under Sira's supervision, adjusting stabilizers and redirecting rock slides with careful precision. A tremor struck unexpectedly, sending boulders tumbling down. Rin reacted instinctively, triggering a countermeasure device that diverted the rocks safely into a canyon. Sira's eyes narrowed, impressed. "Well done," she said. "You're beginning to understand. Survival demands quick thinking and courage, not fear." The Zelthari began to internalize the humans' philosophy. They were learning to act decisively, to adapt instantly, and to embrace challenges rather than fear them. Vera's harsh environment had become a crucible, forging resilience and skill in its inhabitants. Yet the planet was not the only source of danger. Internal conflicts among the Zelthari flared again. A faction resistant to human influence attempted to sabotage a water filtration system, hoping to assert independence and maintain control over their people. Jerk discovered the act immediately. He confronted the perpetrators, his tone firm. "You endanger everyone. Pride will not save your people. You will repair this now, or you face consequences." The Zelthari involved had no choice. Under strict supervision, they repaired the system, learning firsthand that their actions had immediate consequences. This event cemented the lesson. Survival required cooperation, discipline, and adherence to standards far beyond previous Zelthari experience. Meanwhile, the Deathworlders continued to expand their influence across Vera. They transformed dangerous forests into usable land, reinforced flood-prone plains, and relocated predators to maintain ecological balance. The planet itself seemed to respond to their guidance, stabilizing faster than anyone had anticipated. Kael'thar observed the transformation with mixed emotions. He felt pride for his people's progress, but he also recognized the cost. Vera was changing in ways beyond their culture and traditions. The humans' methods were efficient and practical, but they were alien, exacting, and uncompromising. One evening, as the sky glowed with the aftermath of a small storm, Kael'thar spoke to Jerk privately. "Your people have given us strength, but at what cost? Our world changes, and so do we." Jerk's expression was calm, almost unreadable. "Change is survival. Weakness leads to extinction. You asked for mercy, Kael'thar. We do not offer mercy. We offer a chance to endure." The Zelthari had begun to understand this. Their survival was no longer about avoiding danger. It was about rising to meet it. Earth's Deathworlders did not rescue. They prepared, they trained, they demanded excellence. And those who failed faced the harsh reality of Vera itself. As the weeks progressed, Kael'thar noticed another shift among his people. Children trained alongside the humans displayed remarkable adaptability, learning survival techniques that even seasoned adults struggled to master. Farmers handled chemical neutralizers and irrigation systems with unprecedented skill. Builders stabilized structures in record time. The once fragile Zelthari were becoming resilient in ways they had never imagined. But the crucible of Vera was not finished. A dormant volcano in the northern region showed signs of imminent eruption. The Deathworlders immediately organized evacuation and stabilization efforts. Sensors were placed around the volcano to predict lava flow, and barriers were reinforced to protect surrounding villages. Kael'thar and Rin joined teams to assist with evacuation. The ground trembled beneath their feet as molten rock began to seep from cracks. Villagers panicked, but the humans remained calm, directing them efficiently to safe zones. Sira approached Kael'thar as he guided a family to safety. "This is the ultimate test," she said. "Your people must act without hesitation. The volcano does not wait, and neither do we." Kael'thar nodded. "We will rise to the challenge." The eruption began in full force. Lava cascaded down the mountainside, and ash darkened the sky. The humans deployed mobile shields and high-powered water jets to divert lava flow. Zelthari teams, following precise instructions, reinforced protective structures and assisted citizens. Despite fear and chaos, the combined effort minimized casualties. By the end of the eruption, Vera's northern region had suffered damage, but the villages survived. The Zelthari had endured a trial that would have destroyed their civilization months earlier. Kael'thar addressed his people. "We have survived the volcano. We have survived storms, floods, predators, and earthquakes. Each trial has tested us, and we have endured. But this is only the beginning. We must continue to grow, to adapt, and to follow the humans' guidance if we are to thrive." The Zelthari began to embrace the humans' philosophy fully. Pride and fear gave way to discipline, courage, and determination. They learned that survival was not granted. It was earned through effort, skill, and resilience. Jerk observed the progress with satisfaction. "They are learning," he said to Sira. "Not just to survive, but to endure. They will need one final test to truly understand. Then Vera will be ready to thrive on its own." Sira nodded. "The final trial will push them to their limits. Only then will they realize what it means to survive under the standards of Earth's Deathworlders." Kael'thar, watching his people rebuild after the volcano, felt a mixture of hope and apprehension. Vera had changed irrevocably. The Zelthari had changed irrevocably. Humanity had not only preserved their civilization, they had transformed it, forging resilience from desperation, strength from fear, and unity from chaos. As night fell over Vera, stars reflected in the newly purified rivers. Fires burned safely in designated areas, crops swayed gently in the wind, and the once fragile civilization now moved with a new confidence. Kael'thar whispered to himself, "We asked for mercy and received the Deathworlders. We have survived, but the crucible is not over. We must be ready for whatever comes next." And above all, the humans watched silently, their presence a constant reminder that survival was not a gift, it was a challenge, and Vera's people had only just begun to rise to it. Vera had changed. Once a dying, fractured world, it now thrummed with life. Rivers ran clean and strong, forests flourished, and fields swayed with healthy crops. The Zelthari had learned skills they never imagined: how to purify water, reinforce mountains, redirect predators, and withstand storms. Yet Earth's Deathworlders were not finished. Kael'thar watched from a ridge as humans prepared the final trial. It was not a simple task or disaster. It was a comprehensive test of everything the Zelthari had learned. It would combine the harshness of the planet, the unpredictability of nature, and the need for precise action under pressure. Only those who could endure fully would prove that Vera's people were truly capable of survival. Sira stood beside Jerk, addressing the gathered Zelthari. "The final trial will push you beyond what you have experienced. You will face simultaneous challenges: storms, unstable terrain, predators, and complex tasks. Your success will depend on discipline, cooperation, and courage. Failure is not an option." Whispers ran through the crowd. Some Zelthari felt fear, others determination. Kael'thar spoke, raising his voice above the murmur. "We have survived so far. Every trial has prepared us. Together we endure, together we succeed." The trial began with a sudden shift in the sky. Dark clouds gathered rapidly, forming a violent storm that swept across the plains. Winds tore at structures, and torrential rain flooded the valleys. At the same time, a controlled eruption of the northern volcano created lava flows threatening villages. Predators, previously relocated, were released strategically by the humans to simulate emergency scenarios. Zelthari teams were dispatched to handle multiple crises at once. One group reinforced buildings in flood zones, another redirected lava flow using barriers and water jets, and others guided villagers to safe zones. The humans supervised, moving with calm precision, intervening only when necessary. Kael'thar coordinated a team responsible for a flooded settlement. Water rushed through streets, carrying debris and threatening homes. Using pumps and temporary barriers, the Zelthari worked alongside humans, learning to anticipate sudden surges and act instantly. "Focus," Sira shouted over the roar of the storm. "Control your fear, every second matters." Rin, now experienced from previous trials, took the lead, directing his team efficiently. They cleared blocked channels, reinforced temporary levees, and rescued trapped citizens. His confidence inspired others, and the settlement survived the worst of the flood. Meanwhile, Jerk oversaw the lava flow operations. He had stationed humans with Zelthari teams at strategic points, teaching them how to divert molten rock using barriers and controlled water streams. The Zelthari applied every lesson they had learned: quick thinking, precise action, and calm endurance. A sudden fissure in the lava threatened the operation, but Kael'thar's team acted without hesitation, preventing disaster. Predators prowled the trial zones, simulating dangers that the Zelthari would face in the wild. Teams used non-lethal traps, relocation devices, and evasive maneuvers to manage the creatures, following human strategies. The Zelthari were pushed to their limits physically, mentally, and emotionally, yet they endured. Hours passed like minutes. Exhaustion weighed heavily on everyone, yet no one stopped. Humans moved tirelessly, demonstrating endurance that seemed limitless. Kael'thar realized that the ultimate lesson of this trial was not about defeating Vera's dangers, it was about internal strength. Fear, hesitation, and disorganization would kill. Only focus, cooperation, and courage could ensure survival. As the storm began to wane, new challenges arose. A massive cliff, destabilized by recent tremors, threatened to collapse onto a key transportation route. Zelthari teams, guided by humans, rushed to reinforce the cliffs using anchors, tension cables, and predictive sensors. The operation required coordination, precise timing, and nerves of steel. Rin worked alongside a human engineer, adjusting anchors as boulders shifted unexpectedly. Sweat streamed down his face, mud covered his body, and exhaustion threatened to overwhelm him. Yet he persisted, remembering every lesson from previous trials. "Steady," the engineer said calmly. "React, don't panic, predict, don't guess." Rin nodded, adjusting the tension on the final anchor. The cliff stabilized, and a cheer erupted among the Zelthari teams. For the first time, they felt not only relief but triumph. Sira surveyed the operations from a ridge. "They have endured the storms, lava, predators, and unstable terrain," she said to Jerk. "They have adapted. They have learned to survive, not just react." Jerk nodded. This was the ultimate test, and they have passed. Yet the final trial had one more component, an unannounced challenge designed to test leadership and decision-making. A simulated crisis was triggered. A nearby settlement was cut off by a combination of landslides, fire, and rising water. The Zelthari had to prioritize resources, make rapid decisions, and lead their people to safety, all without constant human intervention. Kael'thar stepped forward. "Listen to me," he said to the team. "We have learned everything the humans have taught us. Now it is our turn to act. We lead, we decide, we survive." The team moved quickly, dividing tasks and coordinating under pressure. They deployed barriers, guided citizens, and extinguished fires. Decisions had to be made in seconds, and mistakes could be fatal. Yet the Zelthari executed every action with skill and confidence. At the height of the operation, Kael'thar noticed a group of children trapped on a collapsing bridge. Without hesitation, he and Rin moved in. Using a portable stabilization device, they secured the bridge while directing the children to safety. The operation was tense, but their teamwork and calm decisiveness saved every child. When the final citizen reached safety, a profound silence fell over the trial zone. For the first time, the Zelthari had faced a major disaster entirely under their own leadership, applying everything the humans had taught them. They had endured fear, chaos, and physical strain and emerged victorious. Sira approached Kael'thar. "You have done well," she said. "Your people have proven they can survive, adapt, and lead. The lessons were harsh but necessary. You are ready to govern your world under the standards of survival Earth demands." Kael'thar looked at his people, exhausted, muddy, but alive and resilient. Pride swelled within him. The Zelthari had endured the ultimate crucible. They had faced nature's worst, internal conflict, and the pressure of human expectations. And they had survived. One by one, the humans began to withdraw. Drones lifted from the skies, exosuits powered down, and machines were packed for departure. Yet the presence of the Deathworlders had left an indelible mark. Vera was transformed, and its people had transformed with it. Kael'thar addressed the Zelthari assembly. We asked for mercy, and Earth sent its Deathworlders instead. They did not save us out of kindness. They demanded that we endure, that we learn, that we rise above our fears. And we have done it. Our planet survives, our people survive, and we are stronger for it. The assembly erupted in cheers. Elders once skeptical now acknowledged the humans' methods. Children who had trained alongside them looked up with admiration and hope. Even the previously defiant factions nodded in agreement, recognizing that their survival depended on the lessons they had learned. As night fell over Vera, stars reflected in the rivers and forests shimmered under the moonlight. Fires burned safely in villages, crops swayed gently in the wind, and mountains stood reinforced against future tremors. The planet, once on the brink of destruction, now thrived. Kael'thar walked to a ridge and watched the humans prepare to leave. Jerk approached him. "You have done well," he said. "Remember, survival is not a gift, it is earned every day. Your people now have the tools, the knowledge, and the endurance to face the universe." Kael'thar nodded. "And we will. Vera has learned strength, its people have learned courage. You have shown us the meaning of endurance." Sira placed a hand briefly on Kael'thar's shoulder. "Do not forget these lessons. The universe will demand more than courage alone. Adaptability, cooperation, and focus will save lives where strength cannot." The humans lifted off, their ships disappearing into the stars. Vera was left in silence, yet it was not quiet. It was alive, vibrant, and ready. The Zelthari looked around at their world, understanding the full scope of what had been achieved. Their civilization had been tested and had endured. Their people had been forged into something stronger, braver, and more capable than ever before. Kael'thar raised his voice to the assembly one final time. "We have survived storms, fire, predators, and our own fears. We have endured trials that would have broken us months ago, and we are still here. We are stronger, wiser, and prepared for whatever comes next. Vera will survive because we have learned how to endure and because we are willing to do what is necessary." The Zelthari cheered, the sound echoing across the valleys, mountains, and rivers. For the first time in generations, they felt truly invincible, not because they were stronger than the planet or its dangers, but because they had learned to match the endurance, discipline, and resolve of Earth's Deathworlders. Vera's night sky was calm, stars shimmering, the moonlight reflecting in restored rivers and forests. The planet had been remade. The Zelthari had been remade. And a new era began, an era of survival, resilience, and unbreakable will. The humans had gone, but their lesson remained. Mercy had not come in the form the Zelthari expected. Instead, it had arrived as challenge, endurance, and unyielding guidance. And in facing it, the Zelthari had proven that they were ready to survive, not just Vera, but the universe beyond. And so, the planet thrived, the people endured, and Earth's Deathworlders left behind a legacy of survival that would shape the Zelthari for generations to come.